Hello, good afternoon. My name is Toya. I'm here today with Sapphire. Today is August the 22nd. The time is now 7:40. Sasha, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
So my name is Sapphire Kontis. I am a 41-year-old mum living here in Grays, in Essex. What else would you like to know?
Everything.
Oh gosh!
Whatever you feel comfortable with.
So background, I'm medical, working for London Ambulance Service. I'm also a clinical tutor. So I used to be out on the road for 15 years, but for the last 2 years I've been teaching. So I'm based in East London, in Dockside. Very much enjoy it. I'm a single mum. I have a 14-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. They're both neurodiverse, so to say that my hands are full is an understatement. Yeah, I'm also a partner, so I help people putting more money back into their pockets as well. So I do that on the side in the nooks and crannies.
Tell us a little bit about your family background.
So, my family. So my mum is half Jamaican and half Welsh, and my dad is full-blown Jamaican. So my grandparents were on my mum's side. So my granddad was from St Thomas in Jamaica, and then on my dad's side, St Elizabeth. Both my grandparents are from.
How did they came to the UK and how did they fit in?
Oh, good question. So I know from the story, so my granddad is late. So all my grandparents, unfortunately, are not here anymore. But I did get to hear some good stories from them. So my granddad, so his nickname, as in the Caribbean, they love to give them a nickname.
Yes,
so he was either known by Bernie or Tubal. Yeah, so he came over to the UK when he was 19. So he came over, when he passed away, he was 84. And this was back during COVID times. So he's been gone now for the last 4 years. So he would have today been 88 if he was still here. But yeah, he said he came over to the UK. It was hard. It was hard time. So he was based in East London, so Stoke Newington, so Hackney, and that's where my parents grew up as well. And that's where I was originally born before moving out to Essex. And my grandfather told me it was difficult. He used to be called all sorts of names in the street. And because he was a rather handsome chap, he would, and being a young'un at that time, he was a bit of a ladies' man, shall we say. And obviously it's a bit different coming to the UK because there's not a lot of white women in Jamaica. So he got to experiment, shall we say. He got to experiment, but here in London and England, white guys don't like that in terms of when it's to do with a black male and a white lady, shall we say. So it was difficult, but he's always had the chat, like my granddad. So he's always had the chat, and he got into running his own business, so in painting and decorating. So that's what he did for many, many years that he set up. And then he met my gran, and what they say, the rest is history, I guess. So he went on to have 2 daughters, which is my mum and my auntie Jo. So yeah, so hence there, and she's Welsh. So there was a bit of a hardship there as well with the Welsh side of the family in terms of accepting my granddad. He was never accepted. Let's just put it that way. He was never accepted. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your mom's side of the family.
That-
How,
Yeah.
you say that they didn't. I know it's hard sometimes for both different cultures to accept each other, to find a middle ground per se.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the kids are the one that suffers the most
Mm-hmm.
because grandparents sometimes they kind of favor some grandkids than the other, and then it leaves an impact on the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Just explain how, if it impacts you and your sister, or was it too much for your dad where he couldn't cope properly and he just, because sometimes people shut down in a way.
Mhm.
They don't really want to have any confrontation, whereas when it has to deal with their partner, they try to be neutral. But at some point, sometimes when they're away from the situation, they might lose it. So how did that impact you and your sister?
So, not me per se, but I know my mum said growing up, it was difficult during those times. So, because she was mainly with her white mum, so obviously being of dual heritage back in the 70s, 60s to 70s, was very, very hard because culturally she was growing up with a white mum and my granddad. So they became, because of the challenges that went on, they did become estranged. So my mum used to see her dad sometime, yeah. So she mainly grew up with her white Welsh mum, and it was very, very hard. So as much as her mum would try and implement the culture, so the Jamaican side, it was very, very difficult. So my mum just grew up with hearing, you need to get education as long as your arms. And it's not until Bob Marley came around that my mum was like, she remembers because she grew up in what's the name of the estate in Hackney? It's a very infamous estate, Kingsmead. So she grew up on the Kingsmead estate in Hackney, and she remembers hearing someone playing Bob Marley, and she was like, "Who's that? Like, who is that?" And that's the first time that she was like, "Oh," she went from there, you know, and wanting to know more about her culture. So she grew out her hair to an afro, because my mum's very fair, very tall, stunner, yeah, and then she wanted more. So she would then, with those at school, she went to Hackney Free, and so more at school, she was more wanting to know about her black side, so her Jamaican side in that sense. But it was difficult for her because during that time in the 70s, growing up, going to school, they would be like, what would you rather be? Would you rather be, if you could pick, would you be white or would you be black? She's like, how can you ask me that? You know, how can you ask me? Because I'm just who I am, you know. But yeah, she did get to sample the foods, and yeah, she very much wanted to find out about her Jamaican heritage in that sense. And then, so then because of that and how she grew up, when she had us, then she was all for us knowing about where we come from, making sure we got to go to Jamaica, making sure that she found out more about the family, and we went and we spent months in Jamaica, making sure that we could cook the food, you know, just knowing about our own background. So, yeah, and she very much, on my dad's side, adapted with the family. So that's where she got to learn about cooking the food, how to do hair, all those things.
Did you, because you're both Jamaican and Irish, Welsh. Did you, I know sometimes growing up, because like for me, my dad's dad was Jewish,
Mm-hmm.
and my grandma from my dad's side,
Mm-hmm.
she was Indian.
Okay.
So, and it's quite difficult sometimes to mix both together, and sometimes the religion
Mm-hmm.
plays a big part in it,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to do with the Jewish side of stuff, and then you have to do with the Indian side of the religion, and then with my mom it was Catholic, so we had to choose between 3 religions.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was like, Catholic, is that a Catholic or nothing? How did that impact on you when it comes to the religion side of stuff? Because as a Caribbean,
Mm-hmm.
we have a strong faith.
Yes.
And I think the Welsh, they do have a strong faith as well.
Mm-hmm.
So did you guys have to compromise when it comes to your religion or anything?
No. So Christianity the whole way through. So I was raised in the church. So in terms of, so we're Church of England. So yeah, C of E, even though my mum was drawn to that more of the Pentecostal side when when I was younger. So I went to a lot of Pentecostal churches. But no, it's something that was very much embedded into me. So, and that comes from my mum's family as well. So they was Christian. And then obviously on my family side, like my granny on my dad's side was always going to church. The family's Christian, so through and through. So on both sides, that was never a conflict when it came to faith.
I know sometimes it's difficult when has a mixed race family like myself.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's quite difficult because, as you said, they asked your mom to choose what side she wants to be. I know sometimes that can be really difficult because if she's light skinned and if you want to fit into society more, you will tend to lean to one side, and then behind closed door you would lean to the other side. But out in the public, you kind of struggle to find out which way you want to go, so that things are much easier for you. Growing up as a dark skinned child with a light skinned mom, sometimes it is challenging. How did you cope with that?
I don't think I was looking to my mum and thinking, oh, she's light skinned, but we moved up here to Essex when I was 5. Yeah, so back in, what was that? I was born in 1983, so 1988. Yeah, we would have moved to Essex. So we was like one of the first ones in terms of coming here. And it was very much like spot the darkie. Yeah, I'm just going to say it in that terms. It was very much like that. It wasn't diverse like it is now in Grays. So I grew up in South Ockington. Yeah, so that's where I grew up. And so I went to a predominantly white school. I think I could count on less than 5 in the school of nationalities, whether that's Indian, Chinese, whoever. I was the only black child in my whole school. So my mum, God love her, has always installed confidence within me in terms of my skin. So in terms of loving myself, she always did affirmations with me, would buy me black dolls, made sure I knew about my history, so I was very proud. Yeah, so I knew where I was coming from. However, going to school and you're looking around and you'd get the questions of, oh, do you taste like chocolate? Like, if I lick you, do you taste like chocolate? I'm like, well, do you taste like vanilla? Being little children, it was like that. So, and there was one time I was in the bath, so I was very sporty. Yeah, I did athletics. I used to run for Essex. And I was scrubbing my knees. Yeah, because I was like, oh, they're so dark and whatever. And I was like, oh, don't like me. My mum caught me. And she's like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, in floods of tears and just like, oh, your knees aren't like this. And, like no one else, and scrubbing myself. She's like, no, kiss yourself, love yourself. So she was always installing that into me. Yeah, so growing up, even though no one around me looked like me, even on TV and all those things, and then obviously in school, but because I had that power installed into me from my mum, it made me grow into the person that I am. And I'm actually quite glad that I grew up in a really diverse, not so diverse, and then it changed, obviously college, university, etc. Because I feel like I can just fit into any situation. So
I was just gonna ask you that because when I moved to Grays, I was the only black person living in my complex.
Yeah.
And when I came out, I didn't really see no black person living on this street.
No.
So I was like, wow. And coming from a multi-race family, you tend to fit in a little bit more because you tend to understand the people that you're interacting with, and they don't see you as a dark-skinned person or not too dark. They don't see you as that. They just see you as an individual because you treat them as an individual. So within that, how do you, because racism kind of changed a bit. They are not as bad as it was before.
Direct.
They're trying to, like, sometimes they will be be racist to you, but in a subtle way. If sometimes if you're not aware of certain words they can use, you think they're being polite when they're being racist. How do you teach your kids to spot that side of things? Because we are of a mixed race. We can't be racist because we'll be racist against our own family. So how do you teach your kids not to?
Interesting. So because I'm Christian, and I think, have I faced racism is the true question, I think, because even though I grew up in Essex, I think I can literally say direct racism I've had once, and that's because my first boyfriend was dual heritage, so he was half Chinese and half white, and we was together for a long time, and I only ever experienced it when we was holding hands walking down the road, and then in the car and they was like, oh, you're a N lover, yeah, to him. And then on the other side, I remember, because we lived in East London for a long time, so around Manor Park, and we was in Green Street. There's a nice bakery, you go and buy your hardo bread and your bun. And we were crossing the road, and there was a Rastafarian that said to my boyfriend at the time, and shook his hand and just said, make sure you look after her. So in a way, it's that conflict. It was coming from both sides.
Let's just carry on about your relationship with your first partner. When you met the gentleman who shook his hand and said, make sure you treat her right.
Yes.
What did he say, or what did he do? Because sometimes they might feel a way and not really say it, but how did he react when he was told that?
He said, I intend to.
And did he?
Yeah, he did. No, he did. He did treat me like a queen. He did. But it's just one of those things where you're young and you grow apart.
Young love.
Yeah, puppy love, as they call it. Yeah.
Okay. Growing up in Essex.
Yes.
Being an Essex girl.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a bit challenging because living in Essex, when you go somewhere and they say the Essex girl, they're looking for someone to be loud and wearing bright colours and be very trombone. How did you differentiate yourself from that? It must have been quite difficult, because if you say I'm from Essex, they give you like a once over, like, are you sure? How did you cope with that?
I don't think I've ever had an issue. I think I sound very Essex. I used to do a job, so it was over the phone. And so when I first started at London Ambulance Service, I used to work in the emergency control room. So they used to be like, thinking I was white because of the way I sounded. So it's not until someone sees me, they're like, oh, you're not what I expected. Even when I've gone for interviews for jobs, like before I was in London Ambulance Service, they would be very intrigued by my name and then by the way I sounded. And then when they saw me, they're like, oh, we've been really excited just to see who's this Sapphire Kontis, because my name's quite ambiguous. It doesn't give me away. But in terms of meeting people face to face, again, it comes from my mum just giving me that confidence. So over the years, I've just been very fortunate that I'm accepted in a wide range of audiences, to be honest. I've not, and I am quite flamboyant, I think, anyway. I've just been I would say, very fortunate that I've mixed with, because I did move away when I was 19, so I went to university and I lived all over London. So they'd be like, oh, where are you from? And I'm like, oh, from Essex. And they actually say, no, you don't sound Essex, actually. They'd be like, oh, no. But I think now that I've been back here for quite a while, it's changed. But living in London for a long time, London, they don't care. Like, you could just wear whatever in London. No one is no one is lovely looking, you know. That's the beauty of London. You can just wear what you want to wear, and yeah, I don't think I've ever come across that in terms of having a. If anyone said, "Oh, you're from Essex," I've not had. They don't believe if I say I'm from Essex. I think so. Even though I think I sound very Essex, but yeah. So I know, and even my daughter, because she's been in performing arts for years, and they'll be like, "Where are you from?" She's like, "Oh, Essex." I'm like, "You don't sound like you're from Essex." So,
do you think your upbringing have an impact on how you carry yourself and how you speak to people?
Yes.
Because sometimes, like if my kids are on the phone, they never seem to think, they get the impression that they're white because the way how they carry themselves.
Yes.
But when you see them, you'll be like, okay.
Yes.
And you tend to attract a different type of people.
Yes.
Do you see the way you carry yourself? Put you in, you've got like 3 sections, you have the lower class, the middle and the upper, and you fit in the...
All of them. To be honest. No, all of them, to be honest. That's what I mean. That that's why I say I'm fortunate, because all my friends are very diverse and all come from all do different careers, all different backgrounds. I've got some friends that don't work. I've got friends that are millionaires. And then I've got whatever you class in the middle, you know. So I'm very fortunate that I've had different experiences throughout my life. So, and that I've been comfortable in all those situations as well. So I can talk to someone and I attract that as well. So if I'm walking and I might get someone that other people might cross the road from, but they will come and talk to me. And I'm like, they don't mean, any harm in that, having that empathy. And then likewise, I don't know, I can be on a yacht and sipping champagne and eating caviar. Yeah. But I just mean, it's just, the experiences that I've had in life, but the core is fundamentally like the morals and just being taught knowing my history, so knowing where I came from. And I was always taught that nothing is unachievable. You're only limited by the limits you put on yourself. So, and I owe that a lot to my mother. And then that comes from my grandmother, you know, because that's what my gran always said to my mum and her sister, that you can do whatever you want to do. And considering she was a white mum to dual heritage children, she's like, nothing can stop you from doing what you want to do. And then my mum's installed that into me and my brother.
Do you think because you were mixed race, and it's probably difficult for the minorities like us back then to achieve anything?
Yeah.
So, because most of the people that I've interviewed, they found out that education is the best way to open a door, because without it you can't go any further. Do you think that because you're mixed race, she instilled that a bit more? She pushed you a bit more to aim for the best?
Quite possibly. But I was never told it was because of the colour of my skin.
No, I'm not saying that she would do
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
because those people come over during the 50s and the 60s from the Caribbean. It was quite difficult for them to fit in.
Yeah.
And the only way they fit in was through education. So do you think that's what inspires her to push you a bit more, knowing that you're from a mixed race and it's going to be quite difficult for you to achieve certain stuff? That's why you are where you are today. That's why you've got that mentality. mentality that education is a key. You have to aim for the best. You have to, if you don't put in 100%, you won't get any result.
I was never told that, but I was always told knowledge is key and knowledge is power. So I was always raised on those standards. So in terms of having knowledge. And obviously I did go to university twice. And I think you mix with different people as well when you study. It's more diverse. But because of my mum's diverse in terms of people that she knows as well, she's been able to see, so whether it was in business, and she always just said to me, as long as you're happy, I'm happy. Yeah. And actually a lot of the limitations and the things that I wanted to achieve in life was things that I actually put on myself. So I was like, oh, by the age of 25, I want to have this, I want to have that, I want to be doing this. And so I put a lot more pressure on myself. But I think that's because of who I mixed with growing up. And I was like, oh, if they've achieved it, I can achieve it. But obviously I had the confidence to do that because of how I was raised and what I was told. I was like, well, I can do it too. And I did. Yeah.
What would you, the best way to put it, what would you say to the younger generation now?
Mm-hmm.
And because things have changed,
Yeah.
and to me personally, I've seen where they're not, the younger generation, they're not pushing themselves to achieve more.
Mm.
Everything is influencer.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you say to someone who they come to you for an advice? What would you say to them?
Definitely anything's achievable. There's no easy way in life. I'll definitely say that to them. There's no easy way. So when you say about being an influencer, it's still hard work. And you've got to look at it for what it really is. Because what you see on screen is not real. Yeah? And the reason that when you're asking me that, because I do have a teenage daughter, and obviously she's into things on the internet. I'm like, but that's not real. Yeah? So with all the followers, but they could still be the loneliest person in the world. Yeah, they might have hundreds of thousands of followers, but who's actually around them genuinely? Like who's in their phone that they can contact if there was ever a need? And just go for it. Yeah, so I live by impossible. Nothing is impossible. The mere word is I'm possible. Yeah, so you can do absolutely anything. And I say when it comes to education, if you're going to study something that you can go into, like it's going to give you a skill in terms of whether that's medicine, law, accountancy, engineering. Go and do something. You can actually do something with the degree. Yeah, so I definitely say that. And I just think that now in society, it's amazing because we can just turn on the TV or buy a newspaper or turn on our phones, and now you can actually see yourself on the screen of people that are achieving. And I think that from when we was younger, we didn't have that. I think there was one magazine, quite possibly, or the Voice newspaper growing up. Whereas now we're everywhere.
You look at it, you're like, can I really get into that? Because as you said, we didn't see anyone like us on the screen. So if you wanted to be an actor, if you saw and you was like, oh, I'm good at that, you'd be like, can I really do it? The only jobs your parents were forcing you to do was doctor, nurse, as you say, engineering, police. Even that was a little bit hard to get into.
Yeah, back then in the 80s.
Certain cultures, they push their kids to be either doctors, lawyer, and accountant.
Yeah.
So.
Oh. Yeah.
Would you say that whatever they've decided to do,
coming in,
whatever they've decided to do,
yes,
make sure it's that something at the end of it you can use?
Yes. Yeah. And it's going to make you happy. Oh, here he comes.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us, and have a lovely evening.